What if I told you that the small glowing screen in your hand is quietly rewiring your brain every single day, even while you think you are just scrolling for a minute? What if I told you that the reason you feel tired, unfocused, unmotivated, or strangely empty sometimes has less to do with your personality and more to do with the tiny device you carry everywhere like a digital heartbeat? Think about it. Your phone is the first thing you touch in the morning and the last thing you see at night. It follows you to the bathroom, the classroom, the office, the bus, and even the dinner table. It never sleeps. It never gets tired. And it never stops calling for your attention. But here is the shocking part. Your phone doesn't just take your time. It takes your dopamine, your focus, your energy, and even your inner drive. Every notification, every vibration, every swipe, every new video is like a small electric spark sent straight into your brain's reward center. The more sparks you get, the more your brain begins to crave them. And the more it craves fast, easy rewards, the harder it becomes to stay motivated for slow, meaningful goals, like studying, working, exercising, or building your future. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. And once you understand how your phone shapes your motivation, you can finally take back control. Chapter 1. The Hidden War Inside Your Brain. Your phone is not simply a tool you use. It is an environment you live in. Every time you unlock the screen, your brain enters a world filled with surprises, rewards, colors, sounds, and endless stimulation. This world moves faster than real life, and your mind adjusts to its speed without asking for your permission. The unexpected part is that this digital environment slowly becomes the normal pace for your brain. Your mind begins to expect quick changes, fast pleasure, instant results, and easy escape whenever boredom or discomfort appears. Inside your brain, there is a reward system that evolved over thousands of years. It was designed for survival, finding food, discovering safe places, building relationships, learning new skills. These activities needed patience, curiosity, and consistent effort. They produced small amounts of dopamine that pushed you to continue trying. But smartphones shortcut this system. They give you much stronger dopamine bursts with almost no effort. A video loads in 1 second. A message appears instantly. A new notification pops up without warning. Over time, your brain learns that the phone gives the fastest rewards with the least work. So naturally, it wants more of that. The problem begins when this fast reward becomes your brain's new standard. When your mind becomes addicted to quick dopamine, everything else feels slow and boring. Reading a book feels slow. Doing homework feels slow. Sitting in a class feels slow. Even talking face-to-face with someone can feel slow compared to the speed of digital stimulation. And when something feels slow, your motivation drops. Your brain says, "Why do this? It feels uncomfortable. Let's find something easier." This is why you often feel resistance when starting important tasks. It is not because you are lazy. It is because your brain has been retrained to prefer fast rewards over meaningful work. Another hidden effect happens to your attention span. Every time you scroll quickly through videos, your brain practices shifting attention in short bursts. You train your mind to focus for only a few seconds at a time. It is no different from exercising a muscle. If you practice short attention, you get good at short attention. And when you need to focus for longer, your brain struggles. It becomes restless, impatient, and uncomfortable. You feel the urge to check your phone, not because the phone is important, but because your brain wants relief from long focus. This makes tasks like studying or working feel much harder than they should. A third effect is overstimulation. Your brain has a limited amount of mental energy it can use each day. When you scroll through dozens of posts, absorb hundreds of images, and react to constant changes, your brain becomes tired, even if your body does nothing. This mental exhaustion lowers motivation. You feel tired before you even begin your real work. Many people feel they have no energy, but the truth is that their mental energy was drained by meaningless scrolling, not by productive work. But perhaps the most dangerous effect is how the phone changes your emotional system. Smartphones expose you to exaggerated lives, perfect bodies, unrealistic lifestyles, and constant comparison. Your brain starts measuring your life against these images. You might feel behind, not good enough, or unsuccessful. These emotions weaken motivation. Why chase your goals if you already feel like you are losing? Why try hard if everyone else seems far ahead? This emotional weight becomes invisible, yet heavy. It silently steals your drive. The invisible war happening inside your brain is not a battle between you and your phone. It is a battle between your brain's natural rhythm and the unnatural speed of digital stimulation. The good news is this: once you understand the mechanics, you can start rewiring your brain back to strength, focus, and real motivation. Step 2. How dopamine shapes motivation. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but this is only half the truth. In reality, dopamine is the chemical of motivation, drive, and desire. It is the force that pushes you to get out of bed, explore your environment, chase goals, and try new things. Whenever you feel excited to achieve something, dopamine is behind that feeling. Whenever you feel curious, energized, or ambitious, dopamine is guiding your behavior. Without dopamine, everything would feel flat and meaningless, and even simple tasks would feel impossible. The problem begins when dopamine becomes too easy to access. Your brain was designed to release dopamine for actions that required effort: hunting, learning, interacting, building skills, or achieving something meaningful. These activities created a healthy cycle: effort, reward, motivation. But smartphones break this natural cycle. They offer dopamine without effort. A swipe gives you dopamine. A notification gives you dopamine. A funny video gives you dopamine. A new message gives you dopamine. The reward becomes instant, and the cost becomes zero. When dopamine becomes too available, your brain begins to change. It becomes less sensitive to natural rewards. The same way a person who eats sugar daily loses the taste for plain water, a brain filled with digital dopamine loses the motivation for slow, real-life activities. School feels harder. Work feels heavier. Studying feels boring. Even hobbies that used to be enjoyable can feel dull because your brain expects the fast stimulation of your phone. This is why important tasks often feel impossible to start. You open your book to study, but your brain feels no excitement. You try to begin a project, but you feel tired. You want to exercise, but you feel no spark. This lack of motivation is not because you are lazy. It is because your brain, used to quick dopamine, does not want slow dopamine anymore. It wants the fast hit, the kind your phone gives with almost no effort. You may notice this pattern in your daily life. When you sit down to do something meaningful, your brain becomes uncomfortable. It starts whispering, This is hard. Let's check the phone first, just for 1 minute. But this 1 minute becomes 10, then 20, then an hour. And once your focus breaks, it becomes twice as difficult to return to the original task. Your brain now prefers easy stimulation over meaningful progress, and this makes motivation feel like a constant battle. What makes the situation even more challenging is that dopamine from phones is unpredictable. You never know what the next video, post, or message will be. This unpredictability makes dopamine even more addictive. Your brain begins to crave the next reward before it even arrives. This craving keeps you scrolling longer than you planned, and it keeps your motivation locked behind a wall of distraction. Over time, this continuous chase for instant dopamine blocks the deeper, long-term form of motivation that your goals require. This is why you might feel strangely empty after scrolling for a long time. Your brain gets stimulation, but not satisfaction. The dopamine you receive has no meaning, no purpose, and no lasting value. It excites you for a moment, then leaves you drained afterward. Your phone does not simply steal your time, it steals your motivation chemistry. It rewires your brain to prefer comfort over challenge, speed over depth, and instant pleasure over long-term reward. Understanding this process is the first step toward taking control of your mind again. Once you learn how dopamine shapes your motivation, you can begin rebuilding your drive, your focus, and your inner strength. Step 3. The brain loves novelty, and phones give too much of it. Human beings have always been attracted to novelty, anything new, unusual, or surprising. This instinct is ancient. Thousands of years ago, noticing something new in the environment was essential for survival. A strange sound in the bushes could mean an approaching predator. A new color on a plant could mean food or poison. Meeting a new person could bring danger or opportunity. Our ancestors who paid attention to novelty lived longer, and they passed this instinct down to us. Today, that instinct still lives inside your brain, even though the world around you has changed completely. Your phone takes this natural instinct and turns it into a constant, endless stream of stimulation. Every swipe gives you something new, a new video that makes you laugh, a new message that makes you curious, a new argument that makes you angry, a new headline that shocks you, a new trend that pulls you in, a new song that changes your mood, a new face, a new idea, a new surprise, something different every few seconds. Your brain responds to each change as if it is important, even though it isn't. The phone becomes a novelty machine, feeding you tiny bursts of excitement over and over again. The more novelty your brain gets, the more it wants. And the more it gets used to constant change, the harder it becomes to enjoy things that move slowly. Real life moves slowly. Real learning moves slowly. Real work moves slowly. Real conversations move slowly. Even your own thoughts move slowly compared to the rapid flashing of information your phone gives you. When your brain becomes addicted to novelty, everything outside the phone begins to feel too slow, even if nothing is wrong with it. This is where impatience starts to grow. You sit down to study, and after 30 seconds, your brain starts whispering, "This is boring. Check your phone. Something more exciting is out there." You try to read a book, but your mind wanders to what new content you might be missing. You listen to a friend talk, but your brain wants something faster, something more stimulating. This constant hunger for novelty makes it difficult to stay present. It becomes hard to enjoy quiet moments, deep thoughts, or meaningful conversations. Impatience is one of the biggest killers of motivation in the modern world. When your brain expects excitement every few seconds, it can no longer tolerate the slow, steady process required for real progress. True achievement, whether it's studying for an exam, learning a new skill, exercising, or building a future, requires patience. It requires focus and the ability to stay with one thing for a long time. But novelty addiction pushes you away from these activities. It teaches your brain that anything slow is uncomfortable and anything challenging is a threat to your comfort. Over time, this impatience weakens your inner drive. You may start tasks with good intention, but you struggle to stay with them. You may make plans for your goals, but you lose interest quickly. You may feel frustrated with yourself, believing you lack discipline, when in reality, your brain has simply adapted to the rapid novelty of digital life. Understanding this is crucial. You are not broken. Your motivation is not gone. It has simply been overshadowed by the fast-moving world inside your phone. The good news is that novelty addiction is reversible. Once you understand how the brain responds to novelty, you can start training it again, slowly, gently, and intentionally, to enjoy depth, focus, and calm. Step 4. What constant phone use does to attention. Your attention is like a muscle. It grows stronger when you use it consistently, and it becomes weaker when you interrupt it too often. In the past, attention was trained naturally. People read long books, listened carefully to conversations, observed their surroundings, and worked on tasks without constant interruptions. But today, your phone breaks your attention hundreds of times a day. Each notification, message, vibration, or sudden piece of content pulls your focus away for a moment, and every interruption teaches your brain a dangerous habit: to switch attention quickly instead of holding it. Short-form content makes this even worse. Fast videos, rapid jokes, short clips, and endless scrolling train your brain to expect entertainment every few seconds. When information moves quickly, your mind adapts to that speed. It becomes good at jumping from one thing to another, but bad at staying with one thing long enough to understand it deeply. This kind of attention training changes how your brain works. The more you scroll, the more your brain learns to crave constant stimulation. As a result, it becomes harder to do things that require slow, steady attention. Reading long texts feels tiring. Watching full lessons feels boring. Staying with a difficult or repetitive task feels uncomfortable. Thinking deeply becomes rare. Planning for the future feels overwhelming. Even working for a short time without checking your phone feels almost impossible. You may not realize it, but these struggles are not signs of weakness or low intelligence. They are simply symptoms of a distracted brain. Most people misunderstand motivation. They think they lack motivation because they feel bored, tired, or unfocused. But often the problem is not motivation at all. It is attention. To feel motivated, you must be able to keep your mind on something long enough for motivation to grow. Motivation builds slowly. It appears after you start, not before. But if your attention is constantly pulled away, you never stay with a task long enough to reach that motivated state. You quit before the good part begins. This is why you might feel frustrated with yourself. You want to study, but your mind wanders. You want to work on your goals, but your brain keeps seeking something else. You want to focus, but distractions feel stronger than your intention. It feels like you are fighting against your own brain, because you are. Your phone has trained your attention to be weak, scattered, and easily hijacked. When your phone controls your attention, your life becomes scattered too. Your goals stay unfinished. Your thoughts stay shallow. Your ideas stay undeveloped. Your dreams stay dreams. You live in reaction, not intention. Every time your attention moves without your control, your life moves without your control as well. But the opposite is also true. When you control your attention, everything changes. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You feel more motivated. You complete tasks. You grow skills. You move closer to your goals. Attention is the foundation of a meaningful life. And like any muscle, it can be rebuilt with the right habits and the right awareness. Step 5. How phones affect your sense of self. Your phone is like a mirror, but a distorted one. Every time you scroll through social media, you are exposed to other people's carefully edited, polished, and exaggerated lives. You see pictures of their food, videos of their vacations, posts about their achievements, and highlights of their personal and professional successes. The problem is that these glimpses are never the full reality. Behind every smiling photo, there is a struggle you do not see, a failure you do not know about, and a life that is messy and imperfect, just like yours. But your brain cannot always distinguish between what is real and what is edited. It begins to compare your own ordinary life to the highlight reel of others. And this comparison affects motivation in subtle but powerful ways. The first effect is negative. You feel worse about yourself. When you look at the curated lives of others, your mind starts to judge your own life as insufficient. You may believe you are behind in your goals, not as successful as your peers, or not productive enough. This feeling of inadequacy is not just emotional, it is chemical. Your brain responds to comparison with stress hormones and low dopamine levels. When motivation chemicals drop, energy decreases, and the drive to take action weakens. Suddenly, the simple act of starting a task or pursuing a goal feels heavier than it should. You feel discouraged, tired, and unsure of yourself. Even small obstacles appear larger, and challenges feel harder to overcome. The phone, without you realizing it, is quietly reducing your inner drive. The second effect is subtle but equally damaging. You feel falsely satisfied. Watching other people achieve, succeed, or live exciting moments releases a small burst of dopamine in your brain. Dopamine signals reward and temporarily makes you feel good. But this reward is false because you did not actually accomplish anything. Your brain interprets the dopamine hit as a small win, creating the illusion that you have made progress. You feel a brief sense of satisfaction, even though your own life, goals, and achievements remain unchanged. This false sense of progress can make it harder to start or continue your own meaningful tasks. Your mind tricks itself into believing, "I already did something," when in reality, nothing changed in your real life. Over time, this creates a dangerous habit of relying on observation rather than action for pleasure. Both of these effects, feeling worse and feeling falsely satisfied, reduce motivation. Both are powerful, and both often happen without your awareness. You might leave social media thinking, "I just wasted a few minutes," but in reality, your motivation has been subtly altered. Your attention, drive, and energy have been affected, leaving you less willing to tackle meaningful work. Many people blame themselves for feeling unmotivated, thinking they are lazy or weak, when the true cause is the way their brain has been influenced by constant comparison and false rewards. Understanding this mechanism is crucial. Your phone does not only occupy your time, it shapes how you see yourself, how you value your life, and how motivated you feel. By recognizing these effects, you can begin to break the cycle, reclaim your sense of self, and rebuild genuine motivation based on your own actions, not the edited successes of others. Step 6. The myth of multitasking. Many people believe they are excellent multitaskers. They think they can check messages, respond to emails, watch short videos, and work on important projects all at the same time. Modern life encourages this belief. Schools, workplaces, and social media reward quick responses and constant activity. But the truth is different. The brain cannot focus fully on two demanding tasks simultaneously. What we call multitasking is actually rapid task switching. Every time you move from one task to another, your brain must stop one process, reload the next, and reset attention. This switching is not efficient. It is costly. Rapid switching burns through your brain's energy quickly. Each transition requires mental effort. You may not notice the extra effort at first because the tasks themselves feel simple. But over time, the repeated switching creates mental friction. Your brain becomes tired more quickly, even if you have only done small actions. You feel drained, foggy, or unfocused long before you finish anything meaningful. This is why people often report that working while checking the phone feels exhausting, even though they were doing light activities. Multitasking also reduces performance. When the brain switches rapidly, it loses efficiency. Mistakes increase. Memory weakens. Learning slows. You may spend more time completing a task while thinking you are saving time. The mental energy spent on switching leaves less energy for deep thinking, creativity, or problem solving. Motivation decreases because the effort feels high and the results feel low. Tasks that require sustained attention, like writing, studying, planning, or coding, become even harder. The phone contributes heavily to this illusion of multitasking. Notifications, messages, and alerts constantly tempt you to switch attention. Even knowing the alert is unimportant does not prevent the brain from reacting. Every time you glance at your phone, you pay a cognitive cost. Your dopamine and mental resources are drained, not by the task itself, but by the interruption. This is why it is possible to spend hours working while feeling mentally exhausted, even if nothing substantial is done. Understanding this myth is important. Believing in multitasking may make you feel productive, but it undermines your motivation and energy. The more you practice rapid switching, the more your brain expects distractions. Deep work becomes uncomfortable. Focused effort becomes difficult. Motivation seems low, not because you are weak, but because your brain has been conditioned to short bursts of stimulation and constant switching. The key is learning to give your brain long periods of uninterrupted attention, limiting distractions, and training focus like a muscle. Once you do, both productivity and motivation rise naturally. Step 7. How notifications train you like a lab animal. You may be surprised to learn that your phone is designed to train your brain. App designers carefully study psychology to capture attention. In fact, many techniques are borrowed from casinos, where every sound, vibration, and light is designed to make people keep playing. Notifications are a powerful example of this. Every ping, buzz, or red badge is not random. It is carefully timed to maximize your attention and trigger your brain's reward system. The goal is simple: get you to open the app, engage, and keep returning. When your phone buzzes, your brain reacts automatically. It has learned that notifications may bring a reward, social approval, interesting information, or entertainment. Even if the notification is unimportant, your mind perceives it as a potential reward. The reaction is fast and unconscious. Like a lab rat pressing a lever for food, your brain presses the unlock button for the dopamine hit. This makes checking your phone habitual, automatic, and very difficult to resist. The unpredictability of notifications strengthens the habit. Random rewards are more powerful than consistent ones. If every buzz gave the same predictable result, your brain would eventually ignore it. But because notifications are irregular and can contain surprises, the brain remains on alert. Each buzz triggers anticipation and excitement. Even when you know logically that the alert is meaningless, your body responds instinctively. Heart rate may rise slightly, attention shifts, and curiosity spikes. Over time, the brain becomes trained to react reflexively to every sound, color, or vibration from the phone. These habits are hard to break because they occur below conscious awareness. You may tell yourself, "I will ignore it," but your brain reacts automatically before your conscious mind can intervene. This is why it is so difficult to put your phone down, stay focused, or resist checking apps repeatedly. The phone exploits automatic brain processes, creating cycles of distraction that sap both attention and motivation. Over days, weeks, and months, these cycles become deeply embedded, shaping how your brain prioritizes rewards and focus. Understanding this process is empowering. Notifications are not your fault. They are a designed stimulus. By recognizing how your brain responds, you can regain control. Turning off unnecessary notifications, scheduling phone-free periods, or controlling alert settings reduces automatic responses and retrains your brain. With practice, you can regain focus, preserve mental energy, and protect motivation from being hijacked by constant design distractions. Step 8. Scrolling eats your mental energy. Scrolling may feel relaxing, like a small break, but the truth is very different. Every time you swipe through your feed, your brain is processing hundreds of images, ideas, stories, jokes, arguments, videos, and faces in just a few minutes. Each item demands attention, interpretation, and emotional response. Even if you feel like you are just relaxing, your mind is working intensely. This creates cognitive overload, a silent drain on your mental battery. Your brain spends energy reacting, deciding, and emotionally responding to countless small inputs, all without giving you any real progress or achievement. This mental drain has visible effects. Sometimes you feel tired for no clear reason. You sit down to work or study, but your energy is gone. You feel unmotivated to start tasks that require focus, and even simple activities may seem exhausting. Mental fog sets in. Thoughts feel slow or confused, and concentration becomes difficult. Tasks that once felt interesting now seem boring. Even when you want to be productive, you may feel restless, moving around, checking your phone, but not accomplishing anything meaningful. The hidden cost is serious. While scrolling, your brain uses up all its energy reacting, leaving little or nothing for your real-life tasks. This is why many people feel constantly drained after a few minutes of social media, even though they haven't done anything physically demanding. Your attention, focus, and motivation are spent before you have started working on what truly matters. You are functioning on empty, yet you may not realize it because the drain is subtle and gradual. Over time, chronic scrolling rewires your mental energy system. Your brain begins to expect constant stimulation, craving dopamine bursts from new posts, videos, and messages. Real life, which is slower and less instantly rewarding, becomes uncomfortable. The more your brain adapts to this constant digital input, the less energy it reserves for tasks that require patience, effort, or delayed rewards. Your brain works hard for the phone, but leaves your goals and ambitions underpowered. Understanding this process is the first step in recovery. Scrolling is not harmless relaxation. It is a form of mental exercise that favors fast, reactive thinking while draining the energy required for slow, creative, and meaningful work. Recognizing how your mental battery is used up can motivate you to take control. By limiting scroll time, scheduling focused work sessions, and practicing mindful attention, you can preserve mental energy for real-life challenges, study, work, and personal growth. Your brain can recover, but only if you intentionally redirect energy away from constant digital reaction and toward purposeful focus. Step 9. The phone and your emotional system. Your emotional health is deeply connected to motivation. When you feel calm, confident, and stable, it is easy to focus and take action. But when emotions are unstable, when you feel anxious, stressed, or overwhelmed, motivation disappears. Your phone contributes significantly to emotional instability, often without your conscious awareness. Constant social comparison is a major factor. Scrolling through curated, edited content makes you compare your life to the highlight reels of others. This can make you feel inferior or behind, triggering stress and lowering motivation. Doom-scrolling negative news creates anxiety and fear. Emotionally intense videos, messages, or online arguments trigger strong, sometimes extreme emotional responses, keeping your nervous system activated. Overstimulation from bright screens, rapid changes, and loud notifications increases stress hormones, leaving you less resilient and less motivated. Other subtle pressures include fear of missing out, fear of being ignored, and fear of judgment. Each alert, mention, or unseen post can create tension. Even productivity pressure from seeing others achieve can trigger stress. Your brain interprets these constant signals as urgent, activating your emotional system, even though the threats are not real. The result is a mental environment full of emotional noise, draining energy needed for focus, creativity, and motivation. When emotions dominate, motivation suffers. Even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Your brain wants comfort and relief, so it searches for easy dopamine hits rather than tackling meaningful work. Emotional instability causes procrastination, indecision, and a lack of drive. Recognizing the link between your phone and your emotions is essential to regaining motivation. By reducing exposure to these triggers, managing notifications, and practicing emotional regulation techniques, you can restore calm, stabilize your mood, and recover the mental energy needed to pursue goals effectively. Step 10. Why you can't stop checking your phone, the loop. Most people do not realize how addictive phone use has become because it works through a simple cycle, a loop. The process begins with boredom or discomfort. Your brain seeks relief and signals, check your phone. You unlock the screen, and immediately a small reward appears. A message, a like, a video, or an interesting post. Dopamine rises. You feel briefly better, relieved from boredom or tension. But the effect is temporary. Soon, boredom returns. The brain wants another fix, and the cycle repeats. This loop is powerful because it trains your brain to avoid discomfort. Even mild feelings of restlessness or impatience push you toward the phone. Discomfort, which is essential for learning, working, and growing, is avoided instead of tolerated. The more your brain learns to escape discomfort through phone use, the weaker your motivation becomes for meaningful challenges. Tasks that require patience, effort, or focus feel painful compared to the instant reward of a small notification. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. You may open your phone without thinking, reacting purely out of habit. Each completion of the loop reinforces the behavior. Checking becomes unconscious, frequent, and difficult to resist. Motivation and energy are constantly redirected to short-term digital rewards instead of long-term goals. This is why even people with strong intentions struggle to stay focused or productive. Recognizing the loop is the first step to breaking it. Understanding that boredom, discomfort, and delayed gratification are essential for growth helps you resist automatic checking. By practicing intentional phone use, delaying responses, and creating structured periods without digital distractions, you can regain control. Motivation returns when the brain learns to tolerate discomfort and rewards effort over instant stimulation. Breaking the loop is not easy, but it is possible with awareness, discipline, and small, consistent steps toward focused action. Final words. Your phone is an incredible tool, but it also has the power to shape your brain, attention, and motivation, often without you realizing it. Every notification, every scroll, and every tiny reward changes the way your brain responds to effort, patience, and focus. But here's the good news. You can take back control. Understanding how your phone affects your mind is the first step. From there, small, intentional changes, like limiting notifications, scheduling phone-free time, and practicing focused work, can rebuild your attention, energy, and motivation. You don't need to quit your phone completely. You just need to train your brain to use it wisely, rather than letting it use you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more tips on productivity, focus, and building the habits that truly change your life. Hit the like button, share with friends who scroll too much, and turn on notifications so you never miss a life-changing tip. Together, we can reclaim our focus, boost motivation, and take control of our digital lives, one conscious step at a time.